Dungeon Doomhand's Let's Talk Lore, a podcast.
Because I am ill, my whole family is ill.
Same with
you're
me.
Ill.
My whole family's ill.
What a better topic! Like it's like it burns. You know, it burns. Like I have negative. I have disadvantage on a lot of things.
I have my cup of lozenges if I need them.
Yeah, I have sips of water. Stay hydrated.
Yeah. I got the big boy tonight. Don't worry.
So I haven't done any research. I usually do research, but that's because our second segment tonight is going to be about our homebrew campaign, and that I spent a while researching. It's going to be awesome. But yeah. Illness and sickness in Dungeons & Dragons. So
my experience with illness and sicknesses, and I like to throw curses into this whole conglomerate of like negative effects that can happen to people or players. A lot of the times it's, hey, you have this thing. Oh, cool, it's done with the spell. All right, that's done. Just a waste of resources now. And it feels like it's just thrown on there just for the hell of it. It doesn't really have an impact or a lasting impact.
Right.
And features that certain classes have, like paladins, you're immune to disease and everything else. I'm like, that really doesn't do much, because if you get something, you just cure yourself, or someone else can just spend a second level spell and you're good. So I've always wanted to find a way to make diseases or not necessarily curses, because curses are always fun to play with. If you're a Dungeon Master, curse every magic item you have. Thank me later. Some of the most fun I've had with a player is the Berserker Battle Axe in my Icewind Spire or Ice Spire Peak campaign. Our barbarian with an axe that made him go insane and attack everyone, and it was the best roleplay of everyone trying to help them, and really brought the party together. So these elements of like a player having a thing that they need help with is a really nice thing to bring the whole party together.
I think, yes. You know, I've never done an illness like an illness in a game, and I would imagine, I'm thinking like, what would be a immersive, cool way to do an illness? And I like your idea of like, sort of like the items that you were talking about, and how, you know, the illness doesn't necessarily have to be, okay, hey man, you have a cold and you are going to be coughing, so maybe you have like this. I mean, that could be cool already. Like you're going to be coughing every few minutes, and negative on deceptions and stuff like that, or sneaking around. But it could be like the whole group. You're traveling in a swamp, you get the flu, or you're traveling in the cold, and like those of you who are not. Didn't go to the item shop and get the fur are now sick, and like you guys are going to suffer. It doesn't have to be, it could be anything. It could be like negative HP, but it could also be like what you're saying, sort of like a curse. Like, okay, this flew from the Everglade area of the swamps. Like
you're living in a land with magic, have magical diseases.
Oh,
I mean, a lot of like there's the diseases or like negative effects. I don't know if it would be called disease, but one of my characters got was mummy rot, and it's a very horrible thing. Yeah, it's like, all right, you're gonna die within 24 hours. Good luck. Like, all right, like having some time to sort something out or find a cure. It's a whole other adventure in itself. Yeah. So don't just let that disease or whatever it is just be an annoyance.
It doesn't
let
have
it be something, a hook to pull to something else.
Thank you, Chris. So you're bringing it back. So the reason why, all of our topics we sort of tailor towards the immersive and role-playing atmosphere, not just role-playing, but the immersive quality of a flu. Like, you don't want to just say, hey man, you have a flu, negative features. But like, what about the flu? Is there something, how do you cure it? First off, how do you cure it? Like,
for example, of like you start feeling like you're having a cold or you get sick, and the normal methods that normally cure stuff of like, oh, I cast lesser restoration, and you still feel sick. You don't get the congestion. It's like you took Sudafed. The symptoms go away for a little, and then they come back. And you go into town and you ask around, and a doctor's like, "Oh, this is a rare disease. You have to go get these herbs from high up in the mountains to help cure it." Right. There you go. You have an adventure to go collect medicine to help cure yourself.
And I like it. I like that, affecting the whole group. Remember, they are contagious. So and then I like the time limit aspect of it. There's a certain amount of time before you become exhausted. There's certain.
I love the contagion side. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
You start spreading a plague, and then you have to try and solve it quick enough before it spreads too far.
Or the village is sick. Like world building aspect of an illness is hilarious.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
There's so much you can do with just a simple cold. I mean, look at what happened in 2020, the coronavirus. It's wow. And then you can add on to that and just take from the real world and say, okay, this guy thinks that there's a cure for it, and he's mandating that everyone chug the water from the Hell's Deep or whatever. And all of a sudden, people are starting to turn into demons, but they blame the virus and blah blah blah. And the whole thing could get out of hand, and also in a very good way, because create your own world.
That's when the fun stories happen, when random shit happens that you're not planning.
It's hilarious. I think illness is something that's not explored too much. I haven't really run into it, besides being sick right now, and you're sick. It's funny that we have the same, but just look at it. You and I have the same. I think you and I have the same exact cold right now, and that has traveled from Florida to New York. Just imagine that happening in your own little world. It connect. Yeah. It's a way to connect. It's the way to connect things and flow to different areas too. It's pretty.
Well, and you can help. Tell the grander scale of how your world interacts with each other, of how that disease traveled through the world is the way of certain types of travel, or certain trading routes between two cities, and how they interact with the environment, the waterways, and how they reach other towns and other peoples.
Yeah,
it's not just it spreads expansive around. It travels with the people in all these ways, and you see how the world is interconnected.
For sure.
How the world reaches from Florida all the way to New York.
I need to do a plague. Not a plague, but
You already have a plague.
The West Nile virus, right? They name it after. It's easy in world building. They name it after the area that it comes from, right? So it's we haven't gone to the Everglade virus. It doesn't. Is it always negative?
No.
Yeah.
Oh. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Come on. Sometimes.
Sometimes there could be a symptom that makes you more charismatic, that helps it spread. The thing I always love to come back to when I'm trying to break out of the box of what my mind thinks is in this reality of we're in a magical world.
Yes.
Everything, all these concepts that we think of, say it's a magical this. Okay, it's a magical virus. It's a magical flute. It's you can do anything with that once you make it magical, because magic can do anything in this world. In our world too, magic can do anything. I'm floating.
Well, it's you can have pluses and minuses to it. Help with the world building experience. But I just think that there's so much to it that it doesn't seem like that a simple virus could open up the whole realm or the whole world or connect it, but it certainly can. And if your guys are stuck in an area, or you're getting bored, or you just want to throw some random mischief into the campaign, I think having someone come down with the Everglade swamp virus,
Everglade bumps.
Yeah, all of a sudden, you're ill, but you can speak like Toad or whatever, and just so happens
get a random growth on your neck.
Yeah,
it slowly starts to talk.
This bard comes into the group and sings a song, and you notice that in the morning there's a couple toads around, and then everyone gets sick, and they go for their next long rest, and there's more toads. It turns out that you guys are spawning toads, and all of a sudden, like, you know, warts start growing out, and there's a virus, and now you get, you know, tangent alert.
Next time I hear you describe a small animal that's just irrelevant to the story in great detail, my character's going to murder that immediately.
I don't even, you know, I have to come up with a different tangent. I got threat alert, DM threat alert. But for those of you who don't know what the tangent alert is, here it is, because I just went off on one. That's hilarious. Yeah, so I feel like that's, you know, we can come back to it. I'm definitely gonna.
I think it's a great starting point to think, to like sit and think with those ideas.
I think it's
and try to develop some diseases or curses or plagues or something that can create that change in the world or change in the environment, or a way to get your players from point A to point B, or to tell a different part of the story.
Oh yeah, introducing NPCs. I mean,
absolutely.
You know, like, hey, I'm the last survivor from this area. Like, I know the cure is in town, but like, you know, watch out for blah blah blah. And like,
you need to go talk to this old sage up in the mountains to go help cure you of this, and the only way up there is a hard trek, and then they become your guide for the second half of the whole campaign.
I mean, anything's possible. But that's the little taste of Dungeons and Dragons illnesses and flus. And Chris, you have anything else like to add to it? I mean, I just think it's like, it was sort of like a weird topic in the sense that it was really small to me, and then we ended up just blowing it up. It was hilarious.
Well, it's something that's it's hard to really implement because there's so many ways to just make it not worth throwing it in there. And it's like, anytime there's something like that in the game, for me, it's never worth it to put in if it's just going to be annoying and something that you just want to get rid of so you can keep going on with what you're doing.
Oh yeah.
But having it be a method for telling a different part of the story. It's another tool, just like a battle or a plot hook or a MacGuffin or any other tool that you have, like a magical plague, a curse, disease is a motivation. And something else that we talked about that has popped up on our feed we talked about before is time. Like what you mentioned earlier. It really, you can set a sense of urgency if you need to. If everyone's just like you're saying, if you need to get them to moving, if there's hanging around in town not really wanting to do something, you want players just get out of the town, go do something else. Give them a sense of urgency to do something.
There it is. Urgency and illness. Today when I woke up and I was ill and I went to work, I was like, I have a high sense of urgency to get as much coffee and tea into this throat as possible so that I can just get through what I have to get through. And you know...
Yeah, and when you're sick, in our world, you have an urgency to feel better because it sucks to feel sick.
Yeah, and like, how do you role play that? Obviously, if you have good players, but like if you have like experience enough to know like fun role play, like, you know, the guy's gonna have a scratchy voice, you know, and like how do you go through a village that's afraid of the virus and you guys all have scratchy throats? Who's doing the talking? You know, because they're gonna kill whoever. How
are you trying to?
That is so cool.
That up?
I'm totally gonna do that, dude. I'm totally gonna do that. This whole village is gonna kill whoever comes in it with the virus, because that's the only way they know how to contain it. And the telltale sign is frogs, for whatever reason, follow you, and you have scratchy voices and maybe warts, depending on the roll. But there you have it.
We'll see.
Yeah, certainly see. We will certainly see. Roll high, subscribe if you haven't. We're gonna just hang out for a brief moment before we start our next segment, which is going to be dynamite.
Dungeon Doomhands Let's Talk Lore, a podcast.